They said it was just a job. Find the beast, get paid. But they never warned Jacob about the jungle's secrets. The client wanted a rare creature. What they didn't tell John, that he wasn't the only hunter in the jungle. He wasn't at the top of the food chain there. Every sound felt like a warning, every shadow a predator. And John wasn't just hunting anymore. He was being hunted. It wasn't just wild beasts. The jungle itself was alive. Every step John took, it pushed back harder. Somehow he saved his life and escaped the jungle. Sometimes something rare can be far more dangerous than you think. It started as just another school day, until the backpack changed everything. Every zip, a new destination. 1 second Max was in class, the next the top of a mountain, a coral reef, or even the middle of a stampede. It was thrilling, terrifying, but there was no way to control it. Every zip brought adventure and danger. Max had no idea where I'd end up next, or if Max ever make it home. But one thing's for sure, Max will never look at the backpack the same way again. Imagine living in a world where people suddenly start glitching. At first it seems like a strange illusion, but for one man, this unsettling vision becomes terrifyingly real. At first he brushes it off. A trick of the light? Maybe he's just tired. But soon the glitches are everywhere. People repeating movements, faces twisting into strange, distorted shapes. Desperate for answers, he tries to speak to them, but it's as if they don't see him. They ignore his pleas, staring blankly ahead. With fear creeping in, he races through the city, searching for anything normal. But the glitches are everywhere, and just when he thinks he's losing his mind, he stumbles upon a mirror. The horrifying truth hits him. He's not in a world of glitches. He is the glitch. He is the one glitching. Ever had a feeling that something's not quite right? For Clark, a simple morning routine became a haunting nightmare. At first, it was a curiosity, his reflection acting oddly, like a ghost in the mirror. But when it began to smile back at him, that's when the fear set in. What should have been a simple reflection morphed into something sinister, twisting into a smile that sent chills down his spine. Trying to shake off the dread, he ignored and walked away. But suddenly he realized he wasn't the one in control. Clark saw himself trapped in the mirror. He was now a prisoner of his own reflection, forced to watch as it lived his life. They woke up with no memory, only a single question. Where are we? A labyrinth that never stays the same. Puzzles to solve, traps to survive, and a clock counting down their fate. Every twist led to danger. Every turn, a test of trust. Together, they had to solve the maze's secrets. But the maze wasn't their only enemy. Fear, doubt, betrayal, the labyrinth fed on it all. Time was running out. The exit was near. But who would make it out alive? Some escape with their lives. Others become part of the maze. Would you survive if you wake up in such maze? Patrick thought it was just another shoot. An abandoned house at dusk, perfect for the movie scene. But the camera, it saw what it shouldn't. When he reviewed the shot, there it was. A figure in the window, barely visible, like a shadow with no source. He looked up, but the window was empty. He snapped another picture, thinking it must be a trick of the light. But this time the figure was clearer, watching him. As he stepped inside the house, he clicked a selfie, and there it was, no longer in the window, but right behind Patrick. The pictures told a story, step by step. It was becoming scary. But when he turned, there was no one there. It was the camera that was capturing the unknown far away from human sight. They called it the Devil's Track, a racetrack no one dared to touch. But Bruce had no choice: win the race or lose his life. When the first opponent appeared, Bruce thought it was a trick of the light. But then he saw their faces, hollow eyes, twisted smiles. These weren't racers. They were ghost racers with their scary vehicles. Every turn, every drift, they pushed Bruce harder, testing his skill. Each race revealed more, their unfinished stories. Bruce wasn't just racing for his life. He was racing against their curse. This was it, the final lap. The truth of the curse, the fate of the lost racers, it all came down to this. He survived the Devil's Track, but he will never forget the ones who didn't, and the warning they left behind. Some tracks are never meant to be erased. It started as a harmless suggestion, an innocent playlist from a friend. But some songs aren't meant to be heard. The first track was haunting. Jessica thought she heard whispers in the background, but she shrugged it off. Maybe it was just bad audio. But then she started seeing things, shadows that moved when they shouldn't. Shapes that lingered just out of sight. It felt like the haunting music was alive. Each song was worse than the last. The whispers became screams. The last song wasn't music at all. It was a warning, or maybe a threat. And then it said Jessica's name. Jessica tried to pause the music, but now she was being haunted by the haunted playlist. In the endless void of the galaxy, Simon thought he had seen it all. But then he found a planet, one that wasn't on any map, and it seemed alive. The moment he landed, it was clear that it wasn't just a planet, it was sentient. Its landscape twisted and turned, reshaping with every step he took. Each puzzle was a test, a message, maybe even a warning. The planet wasn't just alive, it was watching him. Every step felt like a gamble. The planet seemed to play a game, pushing Simon into something terrible. Somehow Simon escaped the planet, but now the universal concept seemed to be more mysterious than what Simon thought. What if you woke up one night to find you weren't alone? For one young woman, the terror of an invisible guest was just beginning. It started with little things. Food disappearing, lights turning on by themselves. Just enough to make her question her sanity. So she set up cameras hoping to catch the intruder in action. But when she reviewed the footage, her heart sank. She was shocked to see her own shadow was moving, without her. A shadow that seemed to have a mind of its own, lurking in the corners, watching her every move. But it didn't stop there. Each night, it ventured further into her home, always closer, always watching, as if it craved something more than just her fear. Finally, she wakes to find it right there, looming over her. No longer just a trick of light, but a sinister presence. An invisible guest turned nightmare. In a world where time isn't just counted, it's borrowed. People can rent extra hours to live a little longer, but for one man, time is running out, faster than he realizes. At first, he only rented a few minutes, a little more time to work, to play, to live. But soon he was hooked. Every hour felt precious, so he borrowed more and more. But there's a price. Every second he borrows racks up debt. Debt he'll never be able to repay, his future slipping away hour by hour. Desperate to understand, he digs deeper and learns a shocking truth. His future self, the person he was supposed to become, was now his own donor, sacrificed to keep him alive in the present. Every minute borrowed was stolen from himself. Trapped in debt, he faces a chilling choice: stop borrowing or sacrifice his future completely. In a world of borrowed time, how much time you will sacrifice to live another day? Imagine being cursed to cry tears of gold, a gift that could buy the world, but drains your soul with every drop. Henry was born a prince, but cursed to weep golden tears that shone brighter than any treasure. But each one took a piece of his life. He couldn't stop it. With every tear, he grew weaker. The curse made him an outcast, feared, alone. But then he met her, Julia, with no riches, no title, but her laughter that could light up the darkest days. She taught him how to smile, how to find joy, and for the first time in his life, Henry felt free from his curse. But fate is cruel. Tragedy struck, and the girl was hurt fatally. Her smile was fading, and her life was slipping away. To save her, he had a choice: one final golden tear. But with it, his life would end. One tear to save her, and he would fade forever. His final tear was not a curse, but a gift. The prince's life ended, but his love would live on in Julia's heart forever.